September 11, 2001, United Airlines Flight 93 took off from Newark International Airport, embarking on a journey that would become a pivotal chapter in history. This investigative report by John Simon delves into the intricate details of that fateful flight, exploring not just the technical aspects, but also the mysterious connections and symbolism that have emerged over time. As we begin, let's set the context: a routine morning, a scheduled flight, and a world about to change forever. The story of Flight 93 is more than just a timeline. It's a web of events, places, and coincidences that continue to provoke questions and intrigue. Flight 93 departed from Terminal A, Gate 17 at Newark International Airport. Scheduled to pull away at 8:00 a.m., the flight was part of a busy morning at one of the nation's major airports. These details might seem routine, but every aspect of a flight's departure is carefully tracked and recorded. From the moment passengers board to the final checks by the crew, precision and timing are everything. The gate, the terminal, and the scheduled time all play a role in the unfolding story, setting the stage for what would become a day etched in memory. In aviation, the term off blocks marks the official start of a flight's journey. It refers to the moment when the chocks, blocks placed around the aircraft's wheels, are removed, signaling that the plane is ready to move. This industry term is more than just jargon. It's a critical point in the timeline, marking the transition from preparation to action. For Flight 93, the off-blocks moment was the first step in a sequence that would soon diverge from the ordinary. Understanding these terms helps us appreciate the precision and coordination involved in every flight. Once the chocks are removed, the aircraft can't move backward on its own. That's where the pushback comes in. A tug or tractor physically pushes the plane away from the gate. The official gate departure time is recorded when the pilot releases the parking brake after the doors are closed. These moments are tracked meticulously, forming part of the flight's official record. For Flight 93, these standard procedures marked the beginning of an extraordinary journey, one that would soon deviate from every expectation. Airlines and air traffic control use a series of acronyms and systems to track every phase of a flight. Terms like SOBT, scheduled off-block time, AOBT, actual off-block time, and the OOI system, out, off, on, in, help ensure that every movement is documented. Out refers to the moment the plane leaves the gate. These systems are essential for safety, efficiency, and accountability. For Flight 93, these timestamps would later become crucial in reconstructing the timeline of events. Language used by airline staff and pilots is precise and purposeful. While a gate agent might announce that a plane is scheduled to pull away, a pilot communicates with controllers using terms like ready for push and start. This specialized communication ensures that everyone involved is on the same page, minimizing confusion and maximizing safety. For Flight 93, these early communications were routine, but they set the tone for the professionalism and coordination that define commercial aviation. There are several types of pushback tugs used to move aircraft from the gate. Conventional tugs use a metal tow bar and require a brake rider in the cockpit for safety. Tow barless tugs, on the other hand, scoop up the nose wheel and are faster and more maneuverable. The latest innovation is electric or remote-controlled tugs, which can be operated by a single person, streamlining ground operations. Each type of tug represents a step forward in efficiency and safety, reflecting the constant evolution of aviation technology. As Flight 93 made its way across the Skies, it flew directly over Howland, Ohio, locally known as Howardville. This point on the map would later become significant, both geographically and symbolically. The flight's trajectory, as recorded and mapped, shows a path that seems almost deliberate in its shape, looping over key locations before its tragic end. The connection to Howland is more than a matter of geography. It becomes a focal point in the unfolding narrative. Map of Howland, also known as Howardsville Township and Mosquito Creek Lake in Ohio, plays a crucial role in understanding the flight path of Flight 93. These locations are not just points on a map, they are woven into the story through personal connections and symbolic references. The trajectory of the flight as it passes over these areas forms a shape that would later be compared to a coat hanger, adding another layer of meaning to the investigation. Relationship between these mapped locations and the events of Flight 93 is deeply personal for investigator John Simon. The introduction and marriage to Susan Green in 1987, under circumstances he describes as false pretenses, brought him into contact with the very places now central to the flight's story. Mosquito Lake, Howland, and the surrounding areas are not just geographic markers. They are touchstones in a narrative that blends personal history with national tragedy. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Flight 93 investigation is the so-called coat hanger turnaround. The flight path as it loops over Howland and Mosquito Lake resembles the shape of a coat hanger. This visual metaphor becomes a central theme, linking the physical trajectory of the plane to deeper symbolic meanings. The coat hanger is more than just a shape, it's a clue, a symbol, and a point of connection between disparate elements of the story. Investigation draws a fascinating parallel to a classic episode of The Twilight Zone, Ring-a-Ding Girl, which aired in 1963. In this episode, the fictional town of Howardville is the setting for a tragic plane crash during a celebration. The main character, Barbara Bunny Blake, and her fur coat become symbolic elements that echo the coat hanger motif in the Flight 93 story. The coincidence of names, locations, and events adds a surreal layer to the investigation. Ring-a-Ding Girl, the plane crash occurs in a park during a Founders' Day celebration. This fictional event mirrors the real-life tragedy of Flight 93, which crashed in Stoney Creek Township. The parallels between the episode and the actual events are striking, raising questions about coincidence, fate, and the ways in which art and reality sometimes intersect. The park, the celebration, and the crash all become part of a tapestry of meaning that extends beyond the surface details. Key detail in the Twilight Zone episode is the fur coat without a hanger, which becomes a metaphor for the flight path of Flight 93. The idea of something missing, something out of place, resonates with the investigation's focus on the coat hanger turnaround. This symbolic connection invites viewers to consider the ways in which stories, symbols, and real events can intertwine, creating layers of meaning that go beyond the obvious. Map trajectory of Flight 93 as it encircles Howland and Mosquito Lake visually resembles a coat hanger. This observation is not just a curiosity, it becomes a focal point for the investigation, prompting deeper analysis of the flight's movements and the possible significance of its path. The shape, the locations, and the timing all contribute to a sense of mystery that continues to captivate researchers and the public alike. Investigation delves into numerical markers, such as the address to Mosquito Lake, 1439, combined with the 44,410 zip code and 158 OH, which are reinterpreted as 46,007 and 6240,007. These numbers are more than just coordinates, they are seen as markers, clues that might hold deeper meaning within the context of the flight and its path. The use of numbers as symbols is a recurring theme in both the investigation and the broader narrative. Another intriguing aspect is the calculation of dates. The airing of Ring-a-Ding Girl on December 27, 1963, and the crash of Flight 93 on September 11, 2001. The total sum of days between these dates, including the end date, is 14,303, which is reinterpreted as 6241. These numerical coincidences add yet another layer to the investigation, suggesting patterns and connections that invite further exploration. The tragic end of Flight 93 came in Stoney Creek Township, Pennsylvania. The crash site became a place of mourning, remembrance, and reflection. For those who perished, and for the families left behind, the events of that day are forever etched in memory. The investigation honors their legacy by seeking to understand not just the facts, but the deeper connections and meanings that surround this tragedy. For investigator John Simon, the story of Flight 93 is deeply personal. The connections to people, places, and events form a tapestry that is both complex and poignant. Simon's approach blends meticulous research with a search for meaning, weaving together facts, symbols, and personal history. His perspective invites us to look beyond the surface, to consider the ways in which individual lives intersect with larger historical events. Legacy of Flight 93 is one of courage, sacrifice, and remembrance. The passengers and crew who fought back against the hijackers are remembered as heroes. Memorials and tributes across the country honor their bravery and the impact of their actions. The investigation into Flight 93 is not just about uncovering facts, it's about preserving memory and honoring those who were lost. As we conclude this investigative journey, the story of Flight 93 remains both a tragedy and a mystery. The connections between places, numbers, symbols, and personal histories create a narrative that is as compelling as it is complex. While some questions may never be fully answered, the search for understanding continues. Through careful investigation and thoughtful reflection, we honor the memory of those lost and strive to make sense of the events that changed the world.